The glasses are on, and hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. And I'm joined with another Toe community member, Lucy. Say hi to the folks,
Hi.
Lucy.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's always great interacting. Thank you for the co creation of this interaction.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just because I had seen your interview on James's channel, and I was listening. I had Brandon on for a little bit yesterday, and then we are limited by time because it's going to be 3 p.m. West Coast time in a little under 50 minutes. So we're going to have to try to cram a lot in this time, but I'm looking forward to it because when you were talking with James, all of a sudden you just broke it down, and you were just like, "It's all metaphor, my dude." And I'm like, oh my god, she's totally speaking my language right there. I'm just like, okay, I love metaphors. See, for me personally, we back in like grade school and stuff, we had these things called word masters and stuff like that. I'm like, what is it? It's one of those standardized tests and everything. And for some reason, like, I always did pretty well on those things. It's like, oh look, you had like one of the higher scores. It's like, okay, because why? They give you a bunch of vocab words where it's like you didn't necessarily know them, but you studied them, and then they would give you like the analogies of like what is to what. And just for some reason, like in my mind would just be like going through all the possibilities that I would know of how these would fit together. It was like a puzzle, and I really enjoyed those. That's why when you started talking about metaphor, I'm like, this is freaking
Analogies.
sweet. Yeah, welcome, Des. Thank you for joining. See, look, again, we have
Hey,
people
people.
watching us. That's neat.
Yay.
But
Yeah, but I think you mean analogies, right? We were talking about
yes,
analogies, like
yes,
how,
yes,
yes,
analogies and everything. So how about this?
yes.
How about just who is Lucy and kind of how what kind of led you down this path of getting interacted with the greater toe community? I'll give you the floor.
Well, I am just really a curious person about the mind and everything. I had different um, moments in my life where I was atheist. I had a very scientifically driven type of mindset. And then I went further into meditation, which was I had a practice, but it wasn't very spiritual. And then it became spiritual. I became Hindu for a while. I have um, I have not had a formal education on any specific type of uh, high degree college type stuff, but I did started like 7 different colleges, so it wasn't for the lack of trying.
A
So
lot of people resemble that. Yeah.
I kind of have a very broad array of things that I was interested in throughout the years. I make music, I do some art stuff, like that's my drawing for my book. So
Can
it's really
can
just,
we see it?
oh, yeah, sure.
Uh oh. I'm not sure if this has been shown before on the live internets, but we're
What?
there. Oh.
Sorry.
Ooh, is I mean this I'm getting like clock vibes and stuff like that. Like could you elaborate on kind of like what we're looking at?
This is my representation of all that is, everything, the entire universe.
Whoa.
It's how I try to explain it. It's a lot of what the conversation I had with James is kind of working around this picture here. It
Now
would
it
be the consciousness in the center, then this is the timeline, the linear timeline. This is
mhm.
the connection to source that wraps around the thing. The ultimate void is here. The impossibility of non-existence is this little dot.
Yeah,
And the arrows in the middle are like to represent the structures that exist even in the middle of all the chaos, which would be like the subatomic particles and all the little dots.
so that would lead to a form of balance, perhaps.
Well, I think that if you want to talk about balance, it depends on the context. Then this is kind
Mm.
of everything all together, and not the if it's. I don't think that it's balanced in the sense that it's flipping around crazily. Like the universe is very colorful and everything is like spinning around really fast, like all these particles and stuff. So if you want to say balance, you would have to give it a proper context to say what would be balanced. I
This
don't.
is why I wanted you on, because you didn't just blindly agree with me. Like, no means you are incorrect, and you explained your. And I noticed you did that with James. You're like, well, what is the context we're talking about? Because a lot of analogies, that's literally what it is. It depends upon the context. Because a good analogy, it fits tight, like a precision engineered screw into, like, I don't know, an iPhone or
You
something like
just
that.
did it. A good analogy, and you made an analogy.
Yay! I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
totally interrupted your story. Can you continue?
That's fine. It's fine. We're just talking. Don't worry about it. But yeah, that's the drawing there. And then my interest in the community came just from exploring myself, my consciousness, and those are the subjects that I liked browsing around. And then I ended up finding the Kurt's channel and the Discord, and it's been fun.
Oh, that's awesome. And hold on, let me do the things. There we go. See, I can be a host as well. But
Yeah.
okay, all right. So now, as far as your conceptualization of the different stuff and things going on within our realm of persistence, now, how do you perceptually categorize things? I know folks will, like, everyone has a quote unquote theory of everything. I don't even like that term. Like, if you're looking for like numbers within physics and a story for that, that's more of, I prefer Professor Wolfram's. Like, that's a fundamental theory of physics. For folks like James and like Roy and stuff like that, where they're trying to like figure out consciousness itself, I'm like, that's all you. That's all you folks. I mean, like that is hard. That is hard stuff. Like I may interject once in a while. I That's one reason why I asked like what's going on because I have no idea. I'm just a dude on the internet wearing a yellow level up shirt and sunglasses. So it's like just I just take it for what it's worth. I try to have fun, try to put some positive vibes out there and everything. So how does Lucy? How do you try to conceptualize stuff and things?
Yeah,
Hey Sherry,
and you're
thank you for
talking
joining.
to the chick with lipstick on her forehead. So we're doing great here.
Hey, I not like any person has ever had somebody put lipstick on them before.
Yeah, it's like we're definitely on the non-mathematical area of the of the community.
It's okay. It's okay. But this is why I say the word balance. I tend to think
Right.
things balance out. Maybe are there going to be perturbations and different chaos going on at certain points? Of course, of course. But at some point, I have a hunch things tend to balance out in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. I think that maybe the long run is very long.
Yeah, yeah. Professor Sean Carroll, I think he said that something along the lines of eternity is a very long time.
Yeah, it's all of it. But how I see it a lot like big glitter fest. I
Okay.
imagine all these subatomic particles like they look like glitter to me,
Hmm.
like little pieces of crystal, and they can enter configurations, and there are variables running all over the place that cause their interactions to change, right?
Hmm.
So you everything is surrounded by different circles of contexts, and each circles defines how different and how relevant are the variables, the states of how things are, right? So
Hmm.
take for an instance, me being a transgender person. I am a citizen of Brazil. So what does that mean, right? There's a context inside that changes the variables of how safe am I when I go out on the street, or how other people are going to help me out if I have a problem, or all of these things that are going to end up being relevant somehow. But y- you have to be very careful about how are you weighing in the variables, because there is an extraordinary amount of possibility to change the interpretation of the variables so that you can just play the game better. You know, it's a big circus of situations, but we have a lot of power in defining how do we see each situation, how do we color it. So this outside thing that we're looking around so much, like when we go over there or we go to our friend's house or we go to another city and the outside changes, and then we have openings to interacting with other people and other systems and all of these things like that. It's very unusual for people to be aware of how their internal mind state colors the whole picture in the first place. So it's how I usually tell people, you know, that's if the outside was more important than what's inside, then nobody will ever be sad at the beach, because the beach is awesome. So if you could be sad even when you're outside is the most spectacular place, because your sadness is going to project out of your eyes and paint the whole thing. And that is happening constantly all the time on every situation that we are. The subjectivity is the projection of the light outwards that hit the projection of the light from the light sources, hit the little crystals, and then renders the game, the reality that we're in.
That's a
It's
very beautiful picture.
yeah, it's how I
You're welcome,
see
my
it.
chapel.
And so I try to always is a difficult word, but I try as much as I can to be aware, because sometimes our mental states are also affected by chemical compounds, you know. Sometimes we do a little more too much drinking, or sometimes we're not we haven't had enough sleep, and all of those other things that can really affect our internal state, our mood. And then the glitch out of the matrix, the cheat code is that you have to remember that you are not your body experiencing the emotions. You are the observer that's able to observe your body experiencing emotions. And that's when you have to practice detachment. You wake up in the morning and you're angry for no reason. In my case, it's usually because I need to take a massive dump. You wake up angry
Dude,
for
that was me
some
this
reason.
morning.
Right? You wake up angry, and then you have to be aware, like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna open Twitter first thing because I'm already angry for no reason, right? But then you have to separate yourself and be like, oh, the body has something going on that it's angry. We gotta try to fix it. You have to go one level above yourself and be just the center of the observer that's observing the things. And okay, the control panel of the body says that we are angry. So let's check this out. The engine light is out. You know, it's not that the world is terrible and everything is going to shit. It's here. It's here first. This is the problem.
That just blew my mind. And the sheer fact you managed to be like, well, we need to go a level above. I'm like, she's moving my shirt. She's moving my shirt. I love it. I love it there. And
Yeah.
just the way that you paint that picture and everything is a very beautiful thing. Is it true? I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. Again, that's why I want to have folks like you, Brandon, James, Roy, Daniel, and folks on, just so I could try to kind of get a feel of what's going on. Because I'm just a dude on the internet. It's like if we have the internet and we have the ability to actually reach out and interact with other human agents and stuff, and actually try to like, well, what do you think about this? Like, I don't know. See, I was always a fan of like the old school Socrates meme that one of my teachers in high school, Professor Lemire, he was a great history teacher, and I think great teachers make all the difference there. Because what he got into philosophy to the point where I got into a college philosophy course, and no hate on the other professor, I feel like I learned a lot more in high school. But the whole Socratic meme of like Socrates is just like walking down the street and like it's kind of like Cheers, where it's like everybody knows your name. It's like, hey Socrates, well how do you explain this? And rather than being like flaming Socrates on Twitter, be like, Socrates, you're an evil bigot that's science deny. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, it's more like Socrates, what do you think of this? And then he'd be like, well, let us think about this. And he'd just go into like his whole like actual explanation, like being able to ask one another questions and figure out what's going on. Like, I think that's how we level up. At least I'll claim that.
Yeah, I loved what you said on the other
Welcome,
video,
Jack.
that this is the internet, how it's supposed to be working. I love that one. That's a great line.
It's working as intended. Just because, well, what else do you? I just full disclosure. I kind of got into what I colloquially refer to as the darker side of YouTube. One of some of the greater skeptic communities, and kind of like looking at that news and everything because I got tired of yelling at the TV. So I'm like, let me yell at different stuff and things on the internet. So I started getting involved in different live streams, and I'm like, okay, people talking about ideas. There seems to be some strong bigotry in some of these areas here, and I would feel like the token left guy just showing up. People would say all these mean words, and it's like, well, what, you keep showing up? It's like, well, if people are going to act like children, why would I scream at them? I just treat them like children. It's just like, so I just turn it into a game. And
Yeah.
eventually, I guess the politics thing inside of that just kind of drained me during like the whole pandemic. So I'm like, all right, let me go to science. That's always been like a safe space. I grew up with the Discovery Channel, probably taught me more or less enough stuff that I really didn't learn much in school. Well, aside from reading and writing, which I mean, who cares about that now? But it's important. But I'm just like, I learned a lot from science, and then I go back into the whole science thing, and I'm just like, oh, eventually I came across Curt and everything, and I'm like, I've been at least an orbiter around a number of different communities for a while. And I'm like, I'm actually kind of starting to feel like some connections here, because I think more or less we're all trying to work towards the same thing. What is that? Well, a better world. What is that? Maybe that depends upon the observer, but as long as we're all kind of paddling kind of in the same direction and just not spinning around like out of control, heading for that like cataclysmic falls that's ahead of us. Let's just get to the shore just a little bit. Don't all need to be doing heave ho in the same way. Just trend in the same direction. I think it's good enough.
Yeah, and also maybe not repeating so much work, because there's probably a lot of similarities among a whole bunch of the ideas. So maybe when we get together and talk and try to figure things out, the compliments will start resonating a lot.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there, build up.
I like how you put that, because at the same time, a lot of folks are like, well, we're just going to incorporate everything that everybody is saying. It's like, well, what if there are conflicts there? Or what if we already have all this overlap and we're wasting resources and stuff? It's like, and again, I'll harken back to Professor Stephen Wolfram. At one point, he's like, I think we're all kind of talking about the same thing. It's just like, let's see how these things line up in the simplest way to put together to try to achieve the maximum result. How do we go about that? I have no idea, but we're going to be giving that a shot in about 30 minutes. So that's going to be fun.
Great
Total
plug, by the way. Awesome.
yeah. I'm going to have to actually check some of this stuff out. See, I have no idea what Socrates was actually like. I just know how my teacher characterized the dude, and I'm just like, okay, like I like it. It vibed with me because he wasn't doing it in a hateful way. He's going based upon the best evidence that we have at the time, and I'm like, all right, well, we all make mistakes. We're all freaking human beings. It's okay to be human, I claim. So I'm just like, yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like all this drama and everything, and I'm like, how much is it that people? Because I have behind the scenes discussions with a lot of folks. I really don't think people really disagree all as much as social media portends it to be. Because you'll see people going at each other. And like even on internet streams with friends, like I'll be listening. I was listening to some of them last night. Like two people on the stream, they're talking about each other. I'm like, all right, let me send a super chat saying this. Let me send a super chat. You all are both talking about each other. Why don't you all just come together and hug it out? It's like, I refuse to talk to these people I have a problem with, blah, blah. I'm like, is that because you both blocked each other? And all of a sudden, if you unblock and then try to reach out. Well, they have me blocked, and then you reblock them, and then I'm pretty sure I heard another person on the stream say, well, oh, I have them blocked. Let me unblock them. But then they were blocked still. I'm like, y'all are just missing each other, I think. Y'all are just talking past each other and everything. I'm just like, the terrible thing is, I'm not a fan, Lucy, of like hating the player. I'm more like, don't hate the player, hate the game. And I just looked at the game last night, and why? They both had like over twice the amount of standard viewers. And we're getting more super chats and everything than they normally would. I mean, I contributed at least $30 towards that dumpster fire over the past 2 weeks personally, but I tried to be honest about it. I'm like, okay, I heard so and so say something. So just using, and again, I apologize. I'm just modeling as my opinion. Somebody's going to probably slide up in other people's DMs, say that so and so is talking about you to start drama. I'm like, let me just do what's going to happen anyway from somebody that people reasonably get along with. So it's coming from a friend. This is happening. And then I kept pointing out how many viewers they had. I'm like, oh, you're up to 66 viewers, or 95 viewers. Oh my God. I'm like, why? Because people, rule 14 of the internet, everyone loves a good dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And then you have people like,
they say enragement is engagement.
yeah, no, totally.
The drama will always work to capture people's attention. Yeah.
I see why like all the old soap operas did so well, and you combine that like with the like no, seriously, like it seems to be true, at least from my perspective as an outside observer and sometimes a part of the system. I'm just like, whoa. And then you combine internet with it, and isn't that what we always wanted? It's not just TV, it's interactive TV. I could drop this little bit of information when there's a particular tension going on, and everything will explode. Yeah. I think it's like a feeling of power. Or at least that's how I kind of view it.
Yeah, for sure. There was a recent problem with that on the music production community because of a CEO from a company called Spitfire Audio, that it's like they're saying that he's a transphobe and he's siding with J.K. Rowling and this and that. And then everybody started wanting an apology and this and that and the other and taking the guy out. And then the guy went out and they said that it wasn't enough and blah, blah, blah. And it's the drama that always works. It's
wait.
There's
Lucy, you're not insinuating that some people, hashtag not all, some people might just be doing this for drama and perhaps the quote-unquote lulz?
People's intentions.
I mean, I don't know the answer.
I am a big believer of everything exists. There's everything out there. It does exist. So is somebody poking the fire just for the lows? Yes. Is somebody doing it for marketing to get more numbers? Yes. Is somebody doing just because they feel self-righteous about defending people that they maybe even never met? Yes. Like there's all kinds of stuff. There's everything.
Well, I think the problem is that you take an issue that might be very sensitive for some folks and everything, something that's really important to them just based upon their lived experience. And I feel like sometimes that gets exploited for not the best reasons.
Oh, yeah, it does. Sure. I think that marketing is a lot of exploitation of these things, you know?
Spent about 10 years in corporate sales. I feel you on that one. It's like I could sell you the same roof for $25,000 or $20,000. The only difference is the size of my commission check. No hate on anybody making an honest living, but it's just, I don't like that as an incentive. And a lot of the incentives we have going on right now, I don't think they're optimal. I'm not a fan of them. That's why it's like, okay, I was going to do one thing with my channel, and then I'm like, wow. I was going to attempt to be like a bad Tim Pool, except adds in some like Colbert-esque from like the Colbert Report, like when he was like still funny and stuff. And I was going to do something like that. Then I'm like, wow, people are just being wicked mean. And I'm just like, and I saw what the system was selecting for, and I'm like, what if I just did the opposite? What if I just like did the opposite of like what's going on? And I'm like, well, I naturally I am a troll. I mean, you freaking pop in when I'm not even there. You used to just see a like cartoon blue eyes white dragon avatar. What the heck have I gotten myself into with this random dude on the internet that slides up in my DMs? It's like, God, what is going on? But how? Okay, since we're kind of fairly ontological and kind of going into the realm of psychology and maybe consciousness. And full disclosure, I am not a psychologist, nor doctor, nor biologist, or any of the ish that are really relevant at all. I don't know about Lucy. Well, Lucy said she had gone through a number of different college experiences and stuff and didn't quite play it out. Hey, I know, hey, it happened to Bill Gates and stuff like that. These things happen. But my big thing, hey, Punk Waddle. All right, we got our avian buddies there.
Hey,
Thank you, my friend. But
cool icon.
now, I need to slide up into his DMs as well. We had some discussions late last night. But that's another topic for another time. Now, Lucy, with all this chaos going on in the world, how would you like to frame things and let us know how do you think we can best traverse this? I'll give you the floor and take as much time as you need.
Follow your highest excitement to the best of your abilities with no expectation of the outcome. And whatever happens, look it on the positive side, learn from it, laugh at it, and continue following your highest excitement to the best of your ability with no expectations of the outcome. And then whatever happens, you subscribe subscribe a positive light to it, look at it on a positive perspective. Sometimes it's what you want, sometimes it's more than what you want, sometimes it's not at all what you want, sometimes it's something surprising. But look, you can look at any and everything in a positive way. And if you keep following your highest excitement, even if your highest excitement at the moment is just laying down in bed and doing nothing, that's your highest excitement. You
I
do
love me a
that.
good nap.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just there's a detail there where your highest excitement is not necessarily any what would be the most fun or the most crazy thing that you could do regardless of consequences, right? Your highest excitement should be between the options that you have, given a certain judgment that you have of what are the available options, right? So maybe you're in a situation where you're so tied up with family issues or work issues or whatever, and you only have like shitty stuff A or shitty stuff B to do, terrible chore number one or horrible chore number two. What you do between the two terrible options, you do the one that excites you the most. Even if that's how you break the tie, which one sounds more like fun, even if they're both horrible things that you really don't want to do. And that's the formula from the some of the guides that I follow. It's extremely effective. It has side effects where you start to see more and more synchronicities happening in your life, and different types of abundance come and materialize in your life. Sometimes you have to be very careful about what you're thinking, because just from thinking something, it can show up next day or next moment. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very simple, straightforward formula. It does work and it does show results. So that's what I follow. I learned it from somebody else. It's not my idea, and in some ways, it's kind of the final spoiler of the book that I'm writing, which is just gonna
Oh.
end on the practical stuff, the practical parts of working out your life. Give some where I give a little bit of different exercises that you could do, not just meditation and stuff, but the gist
Do you
of
have an
the
example?
matter.
Do you have an example of something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
somebody could try to do?
One of the cool things to do is what I call uh, get lost, I think, or a lost walk.
I
It's
love
where
getting
you
lost. Used to go on drives with one of my good buddies back in the day. We just, at one point, it was a school night, and all of a sudden, I lay back for like 30, 40 minutes, and all of a sudden, like, I wake up, I'm like, wait, we've been driving for like an hour. Where are we? Rhode Island. I'm like, we got school in so many hours. He's like, let's stop at the store. And I'm like, oh my God. It was a great journey. We were just traveling. So I totally hear you.
Yeah,
Continue. I'm sorry I
yeah.
cut you off.
No, don't be sorry. So the one of these exercises that I like that I'm putting on the book is this getting lost thing, where you turn off your phone and your location stuff. Go take yourself to a part of town that you don't know, and then just start walking around. But every time that you reach a crossroads to decide, you reach a corner, you can go right or left, or you can keep moving forward, right? Every time you reach one of these crossroads, you don't just keep walking. You 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 pause for a second, and you try to visualize you doing each option, like going this way, that way, or the other way, visualizing you going, and then trying to feel in your heart what is the most exciting option. Because if you are somewhere where you've never been, you don't have any bias to where you would like to go, right? It's kind of totally random. You're on a certain part of town that you don't know, so you don't know if you're going to go see more houses or more commerce, or this way there's the mall or whatever, right? And then you just really feel it and feel, okay, I feel like moving forward, and then you go one block further, and then on the next block you do the same thing, and then you just follow your heart on the crossroads. And when you are walking down the street, you pay attention to things, and the stuff that comes up to your attention, like maybe you see a shoe shop, try to give meaning to that thing, thinking, if all of the answers to all of my questions are in that shoe store, how are they there? Like, what is the meaning? Why do I need to see a shoe store right now in my life?
I'm
Is there
gonna go with because I have a foot fetish, but that's a personal preference there. Um, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Death is asking if it's internal or external. Seems impossible to answer, and it kind of sounds like the picture you were just showing before, maybe a form of a reflection of that.
I wouldn't say so. No, I try to draw everything. That's what the drawing is.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
It's
was
all the thing.
inferring meaning upon your art. I apologize. Please finish.
No, you don't have to apologize. I'm just trying to think if I agreed or not, but it's fine. It's just I like to uh, try to be precise with my words, and especially like when we are in this community where people are using big words like everything, or uh,
Abigenosis or something.
what?
Abigenosis or so, abigenosis or so. It was something that Curt used on one of the community posts or something. And I'm like, I heard somebody say that before. I have no idea what it means. So I looked it up. I had a letter wrong. Google corrected. It's like, how do you get from elementary stuff to entities like us?
Oh,
I think it's
apigeonosis.
that one. That word. Yes. Okay. You know the word. I don't.
No, I was just repeating what you just said. I never heard
You
this
pronounced
before.
it
Now,
correctly. That's what it sounds
okay.
like. I don't know how to. I was terrible at spelling. It was like one of my words. That and penmanship. Oh, I was terrible. I was terrible.
I was just
But
being a parrot.
no, 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 no. Hey, remind me to show you sometimes. I had a giant, like African gray, or maybe it was a macaw on my shoulder one day at work. Literally, this bird was so smart. It was like in a cage before. It let itself out of its cage, and all of a sudden, I'm doing some paperwork after designing a security system for these customers, and all of a sudden, I feel something like on my shirt and everything. And I look over, I got like a giant macaw on my shoulder. So I'm like, I hand the customer my phone, like, do you mind taking a picture of this? This is awesome. So I took a
That's
picture.
cool. Oh,
So,
that's awesome. Yeah.
well, it's like you said, because like what you were describing for me, I'm like, Oh my God, she's describing like how I look at my life now, or at least I try to. It's kind of like in a game of Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. It's like if I'm going to be a role playing game, because I've always heard folks say, "Live your life like you're in a movie." I'm like, well, if that was the case, then when we want the best movie we want, when we assume there's always going to be a camera, and I feel like some folks, I mean, maybe that's a slight metaphor towards either God or Santa Claus, or it's like somebody is always watching you. So if somebody was going to put all the things in your life, for better or worse, onto a screen, which apparently people do that already, um, I'm like, wouldn't you want to be the best show that you could put on? Like you
Yeah,
said,
what
have
genre
fun.
would you pick? Would you start with the genre?
Oh,
I know
that's
mine.
always so hard.
I know mine. That's easy.
What would you be?
Oh, comedy. My life's gotta be a comedy.
Then it
Has to
has a
be.
happy ending.
Oh, it has a happy everything. It's all laughter over here. Like I've given up on dramatizing stuff and trying to see that everything is so grave and doomed and things like that. Like no, man. I fart at your general direction. Like
I must
the
correct you. I fought in your general direction. My apologies to the French.
yeah, you know the reference, right?
Yeah, and well, that's actually kind of one of like my guiding things. It's like there exists, I claim, a line. Where is that line? I don't know. I generally try to keep it around. Can it be put on can it be put on standard cable television or Monty Python? Like, if I cross over there and I feel I go too far, that's why I'm like, I apologize. Just because like, I crossed the line, but I'm like, you know what? I messed up. I say a lot of stupid things. And I just try to hold myself accountable for it. Maybe it's in a slightly satirical way, but that's also why I listed it's like a lot of times it's like you said, it's a comedy and everything. And no.
Oh, it's gotta be a
It's
comedy.
Abby Genosis Monterey. Good to see you, my friend. Yes, something Genosis. Not Jehovah. That's from Final Fantasy VII. But yes, NASA has very large cameras right now. Um, but
NSA, not
hey,
NASA.
welcome, Snacks. Good to see you there. But
Hey.
okay, we're starting to come up on the hour, and we both have another engagement to take part of. So what we'll do is
Yes.
some final words for the folks. Anything, any type of wisdom. Oh. Let me actually ask you my last two pounded questions that I'm totally ripping off from Professor Keating. What do you want?
I want to laugh, and
I'll
peace
take
of mind is good as well. It's good as peace of
could
mind.
say, well, this is why I wanted you on, because some things you'll totally elaborate, and other things it's like it's a very simple answer. I don't need to
Oh,
waste
it's
more
the
oxygen than
simplest.
that.
To
That's
me, it's the simplest answer of all. Laughter is the. It's more powerful than love. I have the proof. I have the
and
proof.
that's the thing. The last may or may not be the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Oh, pink. That's easy.
It's a good one.
This type of
Hot
pink
pink,
is.
or kind of more of a salmon pink?
Oh no, not salmon. Then it's dough. No, none of the
Mm.
desaturated stuff. I like the hot rod pink, like fat ass, juicy pink. Yeah,
Oh,
like
it
this.
brings me no, it brings me back to Bret the Hitman Hart, the pink and black attack. He was a little bit in between those colors though, but yeah, he also
What's
is
your favorite color?
blue. It is the best flavor.
Yeah, it is. It is the only color that's also a genre of music.
We have to add an S, I think. Oh no, it's also bluegrass. Oh my God, you are right. Oh, I didn't even think of that. See, I learned something new. My co-host Fizz corrected me on cheesecake being pie because she was like, at one point, I'm like, oh, it's the consistency, it's within it and everything, and she's like, mm-hmm, and it has crust. Therefore, cheesecake is actually pie, and I'm like, that's topologically correct, young monster girl. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's all I got. Last
great.
final thoughts for the folks before we peace out.
Oh, remember to have fun, enjoy yourselves, and nothing is really all that serious. Remember that your mind is very powerful. I'm going to fumble his name, but Tumpak, the monk that set himself on fire to protest Vietnam in 1961, I think. Uh, the guy set himself on fire and he was sitting down meditating for the whole 10 minutes where his body was burning. So your emergency is not that emergent as you think. That's the one true emergency. And the human mind is able to just sit down and chillax while the body is actually on fucking fire. So you're not on fire. Things are not on fire for you. It's way less. Things are way, way, way less severe or grave than they seem to be. It's just laugh it off.
That I mean I've actually never heard of that, but I do remember a young fruit vendor by the name of Mohammed Bouazizi, and he was the gentleman that self-immolated, and we had the Arab Spring after that. A lot of folks were just tired of BS. So, I mean, I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't
living
know.
over
I
there.
like to use the example from the monk in Vietnam because he actually just sat down and just remained meditating, just quiet. So I don't know the reaction of the other guy if he
Oh,
started.
I have no idea. I would be screaming
So,
and stuff. Yeah,
but
fire is bad, bad.
but
Yeah.
you see the picture of the monk, and he's just sitting there, and his mind is he's in complete and full control of his mind. That's what
Oh,
it is. That's the 100% level there.
that
That guy is one of my heroes.
that's just on a completely a whole other level. So,
Oh yeah, whatever emergency is happening, family stuff, money issues, whatever. Your body is not on fire, so chill. you you can handle it. We can handle it.
that is a reality check like no other. But thank you so much for coming on, Lucy. Have to have
Thank you
you on
so much
again,
for having me.
maybe with some other folks and everything. But thank you all for watching. Peace out,
Yep,
everybody. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. It's a wacky, wild world out there, but let's
it's
do our
fun.
best. Take care.
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.